this would have been where we left off, or this has been after we left off, video-wise. So this would be the 2022 version. So the big innovation on this one is Mark flipped the cam. So the cam, instead of being on the base plate, is now on the hanger, and the fork is on the base plate. And that's the major innovation there. And that meant that side loading wasn't a problem, because now it's, when you're doing a turn, it's loading towards the center where there's lots of material and support, and it's got the bolt. And that was a huge improvement in terms of getting the progressive feel out of it.
And being able to prevent it from deforming when you're loading it under a turn.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the other system, you'd be hard in a turn and you could feel the whole thing flex out of the way, and it would just lose the rigidity of the truck and it wouldn't turn anymore.
Yeah. So the one thing that this one had was that this one actually felt like it had some real progressive turn, and like it starts to feel almost like a snowboard.
And it's wild because these are probably 10 or 15 degree base plates.
Yeah, these are really low base plates. And you can see how much that front is turning.
Despite having such a shallow angle.
At the very far end of the lean.
Deck tip, yeah. So it's just a bizarre compromise. It allows you to be able to feel really stable going straight. But as it tips over, it gets progressively more turny.
Yeah.
Which is the dream. I mean, we've been...
Also, one of the limitations is, in order to access progressive turning, it has to lean a lot.
Yes.
So, and I think that's true for all of them, but I'm not sure, but it's especially true for this one. It's got bushings, but there's no real resistance. The bushings are basically holding it together and acting as a, you know...
It's just a pivot point.
Yeah, that moves up and down a little bit. Yeah, and that was basically, I think, what Mark played around with basically all of last year.
Yep. Perfecting the garage build.
Mm-hmm.
Then, this is the next one that I received.
Okay. And this is quite a few steps ahead.
Yes. It's the summer snowboard.
The summer snowboard. Okay. So, now we've got, oh, there's no side wings at all. Nope, I'm out of focus. So there's no side wings at all anymore on the cam. And they're not cams, they're blocks.
Yeah. This one's even more simplified.
Uh-huh. And so he's got
pins.
Yeah, he's just got these threaded pins to support the block, this cam block, and we just got angle iron brackets and some nylon to make the bushing seat.
Yep.
Is it nylon or Delrin, or what is that?
Feels like nylon.
Yeah.
It's not hard enough to be Delrin.
Yep. So he's just making the bushing seat basically with the nylon, and it's just tack welded together with an axle inside it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what's the, in terms of the riding feel, what's the progression on this one, or what's the
So this one feels considerably more turny than yours, and that one probably has 15 degree rear. This has an 18 with what I would probably guess is a 22 front. So the base angle is higher than that one. And I also think that he actually shortened the distance between where these bushings are and where the pins are.
Okay, yeah. So he's changing. Basically, he's making the throw arm shorter, so the angle changes faster.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
So with that one being spread out, you get a much slower progression rate.
And it's making the cam feel smaller.
Yes. Whereas this one being compressed, like you said, it shortens that arm. and it makes it respond more quickly. So it feels like it progresses
more responsively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it and because it has those more aggressive angles, much quicker to get up on edge.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
it's active. The other one wasn't really active.
No.
It was comfortable. Like you could go fast with it and it'd feel active, but it's definitely not that.
But it hasn't compromised its stability. It still has a really positive flat spot. It's being able to go in a straight line.
Okay, yeah.
But you want it to turn.
Yeah, look at that.
Pumpability yet, but more so than any other OP I've run.
Nice.
Now, what's really funny is visually, it's really hard to differentiate these two for me. But
I mean the trucks themselves.
yeah, as far as just like the fundamental distance from major features and angles of things, it's really hard for me to determine what's different about these. But this one feels like it has considerably less of a flat spot and has a more aggressive angle. It has some stability, but it's by far
the least stable.
The least stable.
And how's it? Okay, we didn't talk about resistance much. So that one had no. That one, the first one we talked about, had virtually no resistance.
Yeah, even though it has.
I mean,
shares bushings with a traditional.
It doesn't.
skateboard.
It doesn't even return to center under its own weight, basically.
Yeah, despite having bushings and.
And it would if there was no friction, but there's. It's got enough friction. Yeah. The return force is almost non-existent. And what's this one?
So this one uses harder bushings than what you've got on this, but they're still not terribly hard. They're soft by reverse kingpin standards. So then they've gone a little bit harder here, and he's increased the diameter of this bolt.
Okay, so it's
closer to what you'd run like on a.
So it's fitting the bushing better and stuff. Yeah.
So it actually uses a bolt diameter
suitable for.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So it makes better use of the bushings.
And what is and that one's got actual, like, you could call it rebound on that one, right?
Yeah. I mean, when you tip it over, it responds and returns.
Nice. And that's just enough to give you some comfort.
Yeah.
Under your feet and some kind of leeway, I guess.
Yeah, the board pushes back against your feet when you turn. Which is surprising if you have been riding a lot of the earlier versions.
Yeah.
To have some kind of resistance is a very different feeling on these things.
So just visually looking at how you're riding, it's not like a fundamental change, because how you're riding the first one and how you're riding the second one was really different, and how you're riding the second one and this one is very similar.
Definitely. I'd say that the biggest difference is going to be the location of the axle relative to the pins. So offset, axle offset is probably one of the
things going on.
Yeah, that you would measure.
Yeah, I mean, we could take the time to break it down and figure it out, but
and the durometer of these bushings
is harder.
Is harder.
Okay, so my question would be, how does the riding that this enables, where does that sit compared to what other normal Kingpin trucks can offer? If you've got other boards, and like, where are you pulling this out?
I like it for flatter angle terrain, because when it's not really steep, I don't have to work so hard to turn it, and it's able to carve around everywhere on the pavement at whatever speed I'm traveling, if it's not terribly fast. Whereas a regular Kingpin board on a medium angle slope isn't able to turn sharp enough to be able to put it everywhere on the pavement that I want it to.
So it's almost sounding a little bit like a surf skate in where you're riding it.
Yeah. It's capable of doing steeper things, but the challenge is you really have to maintain a lower speed, which means you have to really be carving really hard. And the only gripe I have is that because it doesn't have the resistance, it's difficult to load one wheel up.
It probably doesn't grip terribly well.
For me, no. I find that when I need it to grip more, that's when it'll slide. Yeah, because this on steep pavement, when it gets just a little bit above uncomfortable speed, it just feels.
Is that like 25? 35?
It's probably even less than that.
45? What's uncomfortable speed, Riley?
Now that I'm an old man with gray hair, uncomfortable speed is like 15 miles an hour on really steep terrain. Because my goal.
Okay, because you're carving to keep your speed down.
Exactly. Like, I'm trying to go like a brisk walking speed on the steepest pavement I can find. Which means if I miss one turn.
Yeah, miss one turn and your speed doubles.
Yeah, you're essentially, you go from a brisk walk to a sprint.
And then
in less than one turn.
Miss one more turn, you can't run off the board anymore. You can't. Your options are gone. You're either shutting down or you're crashing.
Yeah, and because you can't really drive the wheels hard enough, it drifts out too easy. Whereas
okay.
A Kingpin board with real bushings, once you hit that speed, you can actually pick up the opposite wheel and load that inside wheel so much more aggressively.
And that would be the sort of stuff is that where you have your Bennett's?
Yeah, that's what I like my Bennett's for. I can go just a little bit faster and have that comfort of being able to drive my inside wheels.
So you're not running a slalom setup, but your use case is not that far from slalom.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
But the problem with that setup, even though I run really soft bushings and have really, high Kingpin angles, if it's not steep enough, it's not fun, because I can't turn it sharp enough like I can with this one.
Because you almost need the speed to throw your weight into it, right?
Exactly. It has to be steep and fast enough to be able to get it moving fast enough to be able to make use of that extra grip. All right. Should we get to makes any sense?
Yeah. Should we get to the third board? Yeah. All right. So this is the third board. Yeah. What's this one gonna be about?
Sure.
Well, it's going to be a 2 by 2 board. 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 2 by
So to me, it feels more stable than this one, but for some reason, it doesn't feel like it has as aggressive a flat spot as this one.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of fits in between these two.
Okay.
But it's a subtle difference.
I mean, check out that advanced construction.
It's advanced.
This is crazy. This turns so much. If you lean,
it doesn't give up turning.
No.
That's kind of how this one feels too.
I mean, I think I'm doing like a 5-foot diameter circle.
That's why I'm saying that's the most fun to ride.
It's
on the lower angle stuff.
Yeah.
Because you can make
going straight. It is actually really stable. Like if I'm just leaning a little bit. Here's what I would like to have from this, having just ridden it. I think it'd be nice to have more resistance.
So Mark's gonna build up a whole nother one. He said he bought the hardest bushings he could find.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gonna build one up just like this with the hardest bushings.
Okay. Because here's what I'm thinking. It's like, it's great to be able to access that much turn, but I don't need to access it with that little amount of energy.
Yeah.
Because you
need to be able to work together.
What's the chemistry term? The activation energy is too low. How tight that turn is, you don't want to be doing that with a slip or an accidental movement. You want to be like,
you want it to be deliberate.
You want it to be very deliberate, but you want to still be able to do it with your body weight, right? So that's, I think, the balance of that. The only other thing is it's lost what we had with the P2s in the cam.
Yeah, there was kind of an advantage to having such a wide cam.
It starts to feel like you've got two modes, going straight and turning. It feels really stable and then really divey. So, just running the small one for a bit, this thing, it's just like, oh, did you want to turn more? Okay. It's like, it's just like, it never runs out of turn to give you. If you want more turn, it's there.
To me, this is just the perfect plaything because it works really well.
The size is great.
Yeah, it fits in your car easily. It's lightweight. This is probably the lightest weight board I've ever found, other than the one you've built.
Yeah, no one's gonna beat that one. That one's.
So if you could get your deck with a super light truck setup like this, then you would have an ultra light, tiny skateboard that you could put 2 pushes in on a really mellow slope and be able to carve every square inch of that pavement. Mm-hmm. To me, that is what the goal would be for a product like this, is something that is really fun and small and light that has a lot of potential for being able to carve all over the place. And was it like tiny board, big mountain feel? Yeah. And what is really crazy is I just came off of the steepest stuff we could find in the Avs, and this board was capable of doing it. It's just, it takes a lot of focus and balance to be able to manage how much the board is drifting because you're carving it so hard. Mm-hmm. It's breaking the wheels loose on every single turn. Mm-hmm. And it just doesn't have the board space to be able to stand on it and feel comfortable at speed. So
yeah. It's
just bizarre that you can take it on really steep pavement and keep it under control, but also just have a blast carving around in one lane down a mellow slope.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it's great. All right.
Cool. This is, are we other planet or is this longboard?
We're still longboard technology.
So this is longboard technology
with other planet trucks.
Other planet. Over and out.
Must be 1 o'clock.